Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the 1968 Lincoln penny, a coin that might seem ordinary at first, but carries a lot of history, unique varieties, and hidden value that collectors love to search for. The 1968 penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which was first introduced in 1959 to honor the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. On the obverse, we still see Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Lincoln, the same design first used on the penny in 1909. On the reverse, we see the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparo, a design that would stay on the penny all the way until 2008. Now, the 1968 penny is interesting because this was one of the first years after the U.S. Mint had stopped using silver in its coins, and collectors were paying closer attention to coinage than ever before. The penny itself was struck in 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, weighing 3.11 grams. Unlike quarters, dimes, and half dollars, the penny remained a copper-based coin until 1982. So a 1968 penny still has that old heavy copper feel that collectors love. There are several varieties of the 1968 penny that make it exciting. First, we have to mention that this coin was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The San Francisco Mint struck proof coins with an S mint mark, which are highly collectible today. Proof coins from 1968 have a mirror-like finish and sharp details, and they can be quite valuable depending on condition. The Denver Mint produced coins with a D mint mark, and these are the most common circulation strikes. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins without a mint mark, which are also fairly common, but high-grade examples can bring in a premium point. One of the most famous varieties for the 1968 penny is the 1968 S double die obverse proof. This is a major double die error, where the lettering, motto, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" show strong doubling. It is one of the most sought-after double dies in the Lincoln series. In high-grade proof condition, these can sell for thousands of dollars. So if you ever come across a 1968 S proof penny, especially in an old proof set, it is always worth checking for doubling. In terms of mintage, over 1.5 billion were made in Philadelphia, more than 2.8 billion in Denver, and about 3 million proof coins at San Francisco. That means circulated 1968 pennies are still very common, but when you move into higher grades, the population thins out significantly. An uncirculated 1968 D penny in MS65 might be worth $10 to $20, while MS66 examples can go higher. The Philadelphia coins, without the mint mark, can sometimes be tougher in high grades and bring stronger prices. Proof 1968 S coins in PR69 Deep Cameo can fetch over $200, and the famous double die variety can command 4-figure auction results. Collectors also like to keep an eye out for small mint errors. Off-center strikes, die cracks, and clipped planchets all exist for the 1968 penny and can bring premium values depending on severity. Another detail to note is that coins from this era often tone beautifully due to the high copper content. So a 1968 penny with attractive rainbow toning can be more desirable to collectors than a plain red-brown example. The market value for most circulated 1968 pennies is just 1 cent, but the story is completely different when you're talking about condition, mint mark, and errors. A pristine gem red example with full luster is far rarer than people realize, and collectors are willing to pay strong money for them. The 1968 Lincoln penny might not be made of silver or gold, but it represents a key period in U.S. coinage history. It has a beautiful copper composition, important proof varieties, and one of the most famous double die errors of the entire series. And who knows? You might even come across one in a proof set or old coin collection that turns out to be worth a lot more than face value. The next time you see a 1968 penny, don't just toss it aside. Look closely, check the mint mark, check for doubling, and if it's a San Francisco proof, make sure to examine it under magnification. A little attention to detail can turn an ordinary penny into a very valuable coin. 1971 D Lincoln Memorial Penny. While billions of these copper cents were struck at the Denver Mint, some rare varieties and high-grade survivors have become prized by collectors. By the end of this video, you'll know the full story, from its history and design to its errors, values, and what to watch for in your own change. Part 1. Historical context. The Lincoln Cent was first issued in 1909 for the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. In 1959, the design changed from the wheat ears reverse to the Lincoln Memorial reverse, created by Frank Gasparo. By 1971, pennies were still struck in the traditional 95% copper, 5% zinc alloy, weighing 3.11 grams. This was the last decade before rising copper prices began pushing the mint toward cheaper compositions, which eventually led to the zinc pennies introduced in 1982. The 1970s also marked an era when mintages were skyrocketing to meet the needs of a growing U.S. economy. Part 2. The 1971 D penny. The Denver Mint struck an enormous 2.9 billion pennies in 1971. With such a high mintage, most ended up in circulation, where they suffered heavy wear. Today, the majority are only worth face value in circulated grades, but that's not the full story. Errors, varieties, and condition rarities are where this coin shines. Part 3. Design details obverse. Front Abraham Lincoln's portrait by Victor David Brenner. The motto, "In God We Trust," appears above, Liberty, to the left, and the date 1971 with the D mint mark below it on the right. Reverse, back the Lincoln Memorial, with United States of America at the top, E pluribus unum in the middle, and 1 cent at the bottom. A tiny figure of Lincoln can be seen if you look closely inside the memorial. Part 4. Varieties and errors. The 1971 D penny is known for several collectible varieties. 1971 D double die obverse, DDO. Some pennies show clear doubling on the date and on the motto, "In God We Trust." These double dies are scarcer than the famous 1972 DDO, but still very desirable. Values can range from $50 to $400 plus, depending on grade. Repunched mint marks, RPMs. Since mint marks were hand-punched in 1971, many examples show a repunched D. Some are minor, but strong RPMs can bring $20, $75 struck through grease errors. Coins where parts of the design are missing due to grease on the dies. These are worth $10, $50 off-center strikes. Dramatic misalignments where part of the blank is unstruck. These can range $50, $200. Clip planchets. Coins missing a small curved or straight portion. Typical values, $25, $100. Part 5. Values. Today let's break down the general values. Circulated examples. Face value, 1 cent. Uncirculated MS63, $0.20, $1 MS65 red, $5, $15 MS66 red, $30, $75 MS67 red. Scarce. Often $400 to $800 at auction. Error/variety values. Strong DDO, $100, $400 plus RPMs, $20, $75 major errors. Up to $250 or more, depending on type and condition. Part 6. Auction highlights. A 1971 D Lincoln cent graded MS67 red sold for nearly $1,000 at heritage auctions. Double die examples with bold doubling have fetched $300 to $400 in recent years. Off-center and clipped errors sometimes bring $200 plus if well preserved. Part 7. Why collectors care. Collectors value the 1971 D penny for several reasons. Copper composition. It's part of the old copper cent era, which ended in 1982 at era potential. DDOs and RPMs make it fun for variety hunters. Condition rarity. Billions were struck, but high-grade survivors with blazing red color are scarce. Registry competition. Top-grade examples are in demand for Lincoln cent sets. Part 8. Tips for collectors. Look closely at the date and motto for any signs of doubling. Examine the mint mark carefully for repunching. Prioritize color. Collectors pay premiums for red coins with full original luster. Use proper storage. Keep copper coins in airtight holders to avoid spotting and tarnish. Check rolls and bulk lots. Many varieties are still hiding in old rolls of pennies. Part 9. Final thoughts. The 1971 D Lincoln penny might seem like just another common coin from pocket change, but it hides real treasures. With over 2.9 billion struck, most examples are only worth a cent, but high-grade gems, double dies, and mint-mark varieties can be worth hundreds. For collectors, it's a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins hold the most extraordinary stories. So the next time you're searching through a box of pennies, don't skip past that 1971 D. Take a closer look, because it just might be a hidden gem.